Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time of day it may be for you. Welcome back to the LAMDA log. Um, it is Tuesday, the 18th of August, 2026, week 5, day 2. We started off with the regular warm-up song dance, and we added the bows since we did those yesterday. Like the day before yesterday. You might notice my hair is all slickety-slackety. That's because we have a full dress rehearsal today. And so I need to be like... all 50s Don Pedro'd up. Anyway, we had our last podcast episode of Shakespeare's Restless World today. I think we skipped one, so we might go back and do another, but this was the last one that was like chronologically in it. So the item today was the first folio, 36 of Shakespeare's published plays, and it was published in 1623. It began to talk about like the Jewish expulsion of Germany and a woman who was married to a man. She was Jewish. She was Polish and Jewish, and she was married to him because he was beneficial to the Nazis at the time, and so they weren't going to kick him out. And so if she married him, she wouldn't get kicked out. But during her wedding, that was non-ceremonial, non-special. A Shakespeare verse, a Shakespeare quote came into her mind from Richard III, which was "Ever woman in this humor wooed." And it just, we talked about it. Well, we listened about how global Shakespeare is, how he touches on contemporary feelings. Shakespeare is always our contemporary. And the question is, how did this English playwright become so global and so well known and renowned? It was because of his first folio. He was the first kind of playwright who really was immortalized in a publication. Usually at this time, publication was reserved for like holy Latin text and stuff. But he had his plays copied and published and produced. Shakespeare has been adapted to all cultures and mediums by radio plays and movies and stage productions and poetry and all these things. Shakespeare has found space in that. The complete works were given to imprisoned South Africans during the apartheid because they requested it. They were trying to figure out, they were granted the ability to have one book, and they asked for Shakespeare's complete works, and then they covered it with like Hindu postcards so that the guards wouldn't look at it. And then the book was passed around, and they would underline their favorite quote. And even Nelson Mandela got his hands on it, and he underlined from The Merchant of Venice, one of Shylock's words about the prejudice of I think it was the "Not I a Man" or whatever that is. Yeah, but it was known as the Robben Island Bible. It was really cool. And then the question that's begged to be raised is, how is Shakespeare so timeless and transcendent, right? And the only answer people really come up with is that he plugged into the fundamental questions, but he didn't confine himself by the trends or customs of his day, right? William Shakespeare said, "We are such stuff as dreams are made of." So he connected into this human psyche that just resonates. Then we talked a little bit about translation and other things, and Samuel Beckett wrote his best plays in French, which might have been like a screw you to England because he was Irish. Mark. Oh no, that's some other things. Just some astute critiques from famous actors by Lawrence. One positive one though is he says how Judi Dench is like the top echelon of actors, and it's because she can truly transform and has instinct. Her brain doesn't get in the way; she just performs. He mentioned something that he calls the British disease, which is too much technique. It's not embodied. It's not truthful. It's overly present and overly worked. Do the work, then trust it and be present. The audience doesn't want to see your process. Um, Dench doesn't judge. He also mentioned that the first queen in the crown was the best of the queens, and that Elizabeth Debicki is the best Diane. Yeah, Emma Thompson is always Emma Thompson, but she's really good at it, so not a problem. Kathy Burke is great. Yeah, then we finished our stumble through. We did it without our poor concussed actor, our Benedict. But we had people fill in or read for him. And then we had a little tea break. Then we had notes. So caesuras are marked with a thought and then followed with an impulse. Techniques should be encased and enshrined in how you learn the thought. At this stage, it's a little late to integrate things like a walking sticks or new physical elements. Connect with the physical impulse. I am disconnecting on the line. You say not right, old man. Wow, what physically do I want to do on that? I think I'm getting stuck in the militaristic. I'm a military man. You say not right, old man. Or stepping forward, having that impulse and not censoring myself. And then what's my impulse by this light? I think he'd be angry indeed. Which is also the impulse of that. That's the the true discovery, right? It was just, I was just like joking and making fun of him, and then it turns out it's true. Where does it hit me when my friend says that he doesn't want to be my friend anymore? He wants to discontinue my company. Let that affect me, right? I'm a product, an item no longer of use. I'm obsolete. What is this sensation? The fear. Oh, the floor doesn't pay, the audience does. Give the thoughts and reactions to them. By my soul nor I, where does that physical impulse set, and where does it physically, where do I physically express that? I think I'm caught up in that military reservation, not living in the physical truth of my character. Respond to, there's moments where Dogberry is called an ass by Braccia, and so then all of the other characters repeat and say, "You're an ass," or "You are an ass," and so we need to respond to that and clock it. I was told not to for one part where I was like locked into my own moment and my own thoughts, and then when I'm brought into the conversation, then I need to respond, and also respond to his nonsense things like saying workshop instead of worship, right? And Lard says if you just repeat in your head, your body will respond. The thought gives you the physical. So if you just mean, what is he saying? Like just say that in your head. You have the correct physicality and impulse. If you feel great about your performance and you really had like felt it, it was probably crap. It's not about feeling it, it's about affecting things. We need to connect to the inner life of the character. What does it cost you to live this life? The hinterland, the most important part, because it's the motivation, it's the heart and the birthplace of all impulses in the hinterland. We must engage with them more. Comedy is the greatest tragedy of all, dealing in the most extraordinary extremes. The best comedians are depressed because they give you their soul and their heart, their humanity. Engage in the magic if I were that person, what would they do? And note that it's not what would I do if I were that person, but what would they do if I were them? Okay, you bring yourself to the character and then you bring the character to the play. Think about a character's hinterland, dark corners, deeper thoughts. Find a talisman, an object, a talisman. I don't know exactly what he said, I think, but an object um, that is personal to your character. You can have it in their pocket, a photograph. I was thinking about this. What do I want? Maybe something from my mother. I don't know. I feel like Don Pedro has feelings about his mom. I think she's the only woman who's truly loved him, or he's allowed to love him. What is my inner life? Who is Don Pedro? I am telling my many people's stories, and they can connect with that. Maintain the truth and integrity of your character because you are changing lives. We are historians of the human condition. I love that. That's so good. We are historians of the human condition. Remember the truth and honor, right? Maintain your integrity. Edward Norton in A Great Unknown was great, and he really lived in the moment of betrayal. And Timothy Chalamet was great in that too, and he's kind of started to become a little the same, Lawrence says. But we worked. Oh, then we had lunch, and then we worked Beatrice's gulling scene, and I just sat outside for that and was kind of mulling over my thoughts. Then we had a full run. We did it, and we got some notes from Ian before, and we'll get the rest of our notes from Lawrence this morning, tomorrow. Listen to each other. It really works when we do listen, but it makes it obvious when we don't, and we begin to shout when we're not listening. Pre-show needs to set an atmosphere and the literal temperature outside. What does it feel like? Let us know. What is this world? We don't seem to be enjoying the dance, which I feel like I was enjoying it so much, especially this time. But better embody it and have fun. Stop pointing, idiot. I might have felt a little self-deprecating. Make the pointing internal and intention. What are my intentions? Use that instead of having to point all the time. Make the pointing intentional. It's not about this. It's about what I want from them. And then with the line Dutchman and Frenchman, specify clogs, baguette, something to connect it more. That's what we talked about. And then I'm going to read you an email because I sent an email to Lawrence because I was struggling with concepts. I said, "Hello, Lawrence," and this isn't as maybe depressing as it sounds. "I didn't want to interrupt your meetings with Ian and the production crew. I feel like I'm really stuck with my character. I feel like I keep getting similar notes and I am not finding the embodiment or truth of Don Pedro. I'm worried my take on the character will be boring, bland, uninspired, and forgettable. I've been trying to really work in the military leadership and the inner loneliness, but I don't think it's reading and has just left me less embodied and more stiff. I want to do this to the best of my ability, but I feel every time I get on the stage, I fall short of my hopes. I also get notes for things I feel/think I am doing. So I'm not sure if that has to do with my understanding of the note or a lack of self-perception, but either way, the result is the same and it's crap. I don't want to be crap. I'm working to not be, but I feel like I'm missing really basic key things that are holding me back. So I was just hoping for some help and guidance. Thank you. I've really enjoyed your direction and want to honor it, delivering a performance you're proud of as well as I. Let me know." He responds, "Hi, Zion. Your work is not crap, and it won't be. The more confident you get with your text and explore each thought with specificity, the more at ease you will find yourself, and in that ease, you will allow yourself to connect to the physical impulses of your thoughts more. For example, your response to Beatrice's rejection of your proposal is fully inhabited and connected. So analyze why that works for you and the inner sensations you experience and apply that understanding to the rest of his physical life as a way of moving forward for yourself. The military leadership work is a great way to explore Don Pedro. You can now look at how a military leader turns those leadership qualities into confidence when in the environments they inhabit. It's embodying the military in the physical impulses that you can now experiment with. For example, exploring the sharpness and precision of physical reaction. The physical habits and personal signatures that Don Pedro has that stem from his life as a soldier, military leader, and prince that show themselves. So, for example, the actor Dirk Bogarde took antacid powder for digestive troubles and developed a habit of wiping the corners of his mouth with his thumb and his forefinger to wipe away any excess powder that collected there. Because of this, he developed a habit of wiping imaginary powder from the corners of his mouth. This was an unconscious habit that found its way into his characters on film. I'm not suggesting this type of thing for a character, but as a way of explaining how lifestyle affects how you operate physically. So Don Pedro is a prince. He runs a principality. He is the leader of a nation, a leader of its army. This will affect how he physically operates and is in a space. So, for instance, does he adjust his tie? Does he button and unbutton his jacket? When he sits, is he always upright, etc.? These are things to contemplate. Everyone is also getting the same notes they've had from me before, because it's a learning process that needs to be consolidated and embedded. Plus, specificity and detail are the tools an actor uses to inhabit the psychology and physicality of another human being. You will not be boring or bland because you are playing objectives, overcoming obstacles, and playing tactics. Watching a human being on stage engaging with the problems they face is never bland or boring, and Don Pedro is not, nor will he be. He doesn't have the same drama in his life as other characters in the play, but remember the last line that Benedict says to you, "Prince, you look sad, get thee a wife." Don Pedro wants something that's missing from his life, love. And so without it, he fills it with friends and trying to solve their problems. So he is full of yearning and desire for something to fill what he feels is missing. Just keep living in Don Pedro's head and the physical will continue to follow. I hope this helps. Keep asking me the questions, even the same questions, because a different answer to the same question might unlock something that a previous answer couldn't. Don't worry, Zion. All will be well. Lawrence. Super helpful. One, just some reassurance, I guess I was hoping for, and clarity. And all of that inner yearning and stuff I knew, but it helps to have it restated. And I'm excited to put it forward. But that's that. So we move on and we push forward. Hope you guys have a great day, life, time, whatever. Shout out Sandridge. La bye.